Anyway, you are Ukrainian American, correct?
I was born in Kiev, and my family moved to Brooklyn when I was 4, and I grew up in New York.
Great. And I'm just going to ask you a simple question, and mainly we want to listen to what you're advocating for with this pandemic. And I heard you talking about some of the origins of this that predate 2019.
Well, COVID-19 is a bioweapon with a 20-year patent trail. And it started in 98, 99 with Dr. Ralph Baric figuring out how to take a virus of one type of animal and make it infect other animals. Then in 2002, they got a patent on how to take a coronavirus and augment its ability to destroy human lungs. Then in 2015, they figured out a way to take a bad coronavirus and make it infect human beings. But what was interesting, and Dr. Ralph Baric was involved in every stage, funded by the United States government. And what I didn't realize until last month, the paper that I used in March of 2020 to develop my protocol was written by Dr. Ralph Baric. So the implications are the same mind that created the bomb also created the antidote to the bomb in 2010. And that information was suppressed. And when doctors like myself discovered it out of necessity, because we were dealing with COVID-19 patients, as if it was premeditated, there was an immediate media and governmental coordination to vilify and suppress access to hydroxychloroquine. And doctors who were advocating for its use were deplatformed. So the real question is, why did the United States government develop this bomb, pay for it, also developed and paid for the treatment to defuse the bomb, and yet suppressed that information from the American public? So it's not too hard to figure out that the bad people involved in this don't want to die themselves. So they created for themselves an antidote. But for other people, like you and me, they have a different agenda.
And I understand that you have some treatments and a website. And could you explain the nature of those treatments that you're recommending?
Yeah, so all the treatments are based on the concept of zinc inhibition of RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, which is an enzyme. It's essential in making copies of the genetic material of RNA viruses, or single-strand RNA viruses, like all the strains of COVID, influenza virus, RSV, and in the dreaded Marburg virus and hantavirus. So there's a big threat here to a $50 billion flu shot contact tracing industry. This information was known from 2005 in a paper that was published by the CDC. They called hydroxychloroquine not only a treatment, but something that has vaccine-like properties. Anyway, so I was using hydroxychloroquine together with zinc, because hydroxychloroquine would get the zinc into the cell where the virus is. So it's like zinc is the bullet and hydroxychloroquine is the gun. But then in March 27, 2020, Cuomo issued an executive order that blocked access to my patients because the pharmacies wouldn't dispense it anymore. So I lost my zinc gun. Talk about gun control, right? And so I had to, the Marines say, improvise, adapt, overcome. So I needed to find another zinc delivery system. And of all places, on the NIH server, I found something called quercetin, with peer-reviewed papers that describe how it delivers zinc into the cell. I didn't even know what quercetin was, so I Google it, and I see it's a derivative of apple peels and it's in onions, and it's over the counter. And I took a step back and I said, you know what I just discovered? I said it to myself, a cure to tyranny. Because there's two reasons people die from COVID. One is a stupid, moronic doctor that delays treatment. And two is governmental tyranny that blocks access to life-saving medication. So now I can tell you, go to the vitamin shop, buy quercetin, vitamin C, D, zinc. Here are the doses, you'll be fine. And that's what I did. I open sourced all that information. I wasn't looking to monetize anything. However, what I discovered, practically speaking, people can't put a puzzle together. It was hard to find all the components in one place. There were too many options to choose from. And so people came back and said, can you make it easier? Can you put it all in one pill? And so I did. And that's how Z-Stack was born. It was almost out of necessity.
What led you to start being skeptical of the narrative about this virus?
Well, Government Cuomo, when he took a medication that was around for 65 years, FDA approved, for rheumatoid arthritis, for lupus, malaria prophylaxis, we give it to pregnant women, to nursing mothers, to children. And some people live on it, like with rheumatological diseases, at 400 milligrams a day for 40 years. And all of a sudden, in the context of using it for the treatment of COVID, it's going to kill you. So right away I saw that that this has nothing to do with medicine. It has nothing to do in reality. It has everything to do with a agenda that this virus has been designed to create, which is basically global fear, isolation, wearing a face diaper, and then psychologically damaging millions of billions of people, and then using that vulnerable state to coerce a global population now to take a vaccine that has other properties and capabilities, all followed up with patents as well, that have really nothing to do with health, but have everything to do with a way of control, enslavement, and its connectivity to future cryptocurrency usage. It's a complicated argument, but and I spoke today about it at length. But let's just say that the people that are advocating for its use are not concerned about your health, and they have other motives. Why else would children who have a near 100% chance of recovery from COVID without treatment be given something with side effects such as blood clots, heart attacks, strokes, myocarditis, miscarriages up from 10 to 82%, increases in cancer, increases in autoimmune diseases, ovarian and testicular dysfunction, and something called antibody-dependent enhancement.
So, two questions. First of all, I would love to get information from you or your opinion on some of the vaccines, particularly the mRNA vaccines. But also, what do you think is the overall objective of this pandemic, you might say? What is the end game that they have in mind?
Slavery has always been the most lucrative industry in human history. There is an active attempt to enslave billions of people and make them control them by way of manipulating their ability to do finance. So I don't have to put a bullet in your head. I just have to stop you from buying bread. So that's, I think, the ultimate agenda. It's a war against God consciousness. mRNA vaccines are poison death shots.
So the mRNA vaccines are flooding your body with the spike proteins, and nobody knows for certain exactly when that stops or what the consequences are of the mechanisms and
it converts your body into a spike protein producing factory. Trillions of these, and they go everywhere, but they also coat the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium. There was a study from San Diego a year ago that explained that in detail. Forgetting the name of the Salk Institute. The Salk Institute published a paper that described exactly what these spikes do. But they seem to fade after 3-4 months, proof being that blood clots go down at that point. However, the damage is done because they initiate an immune response that creates antibodies. Your immune system reacts to the spikes and creates antibodies, and those antibodies are really, really bad. And there's what's called antibody-dependent enhancement happening, which leads to a lot of death.
Yes, sir. I wrote an article in our publication, Freedom Talk, and I titled it How to Murder Millions. And I had studied what led to the Warsaw Ghetto, the gulags in the Soviet Union, and so on. With your background, do you see some patterns and things in common with what's happening now to what happened in the past?
Listen, what's happening now is Hitler and Stalin on steroids with weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, well, I want to be respectful of your voice and your time, and we really appreciate you sitting with us. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Dr. Zelenko?
Yeah, I'm really optimistic about the outcome. We will win. You know, God always wins. But the variable, the unknown, is the body count. And I think there are things we can do to mitigate that, which is just resistance. Don't listen to the mandates. Don't take the shot. Treat COVID early. Take your kids out of public schools. And repent.
And what is the basis of your optimism? I know we're seeing this narrative start to collapse, but also theologically, we see in the Old Testament that God was responsive to people. If they turned to him, if they prayed to him, if Israel repented, then he would relent. Where do you think we are on that?
Look, I think God is testing each individual. Who are you going to bow down to? Him, who creates you every instant in time, gives you strength, fortitude, and ability to deal with the unknown and fear? Or are you going to bow down to sociopathic oligarchs like Bill Gates, corrupt governments, and the golden calf of these vaccines? And also, we've, as a society, made really bad choices for many decades. We slaughter the unborn. We defile marriage, the sanctity of marriage. We defile gender roles. And what, we expect God to tolerate that indefinitely? You know, this country thrived when it was in God we trust. That is, unfortunately, becoming less and less. And it's in the God of science. People put their faith, the God of technology, the God of power, the God of money, anything but the true God. And so I think we're going through a cleansing process. And it's like in the generation of the flood. My advice is get out of the turbulent waters and get on the ark.
One last question. Within the Jewish community, a lot of Jewish people have embraced liberalism, communism, that type of thing. Why do you think this is? Because it seems to me that they're almost embracing their persecutors. Why are so many Jewish people on the left side?
Did you know that in the Exodus from Egypt, only 20% of the Jews left?
I did not know that.
Yeah, 80% chose to stay, and they died in Egypt.
Wow. I even have a degree in theology. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I mean, being a Jew theologically, it's kind of interesting. It's not a statement of we're a chosen people, but that's not a statement of arrogance. It's a statement of responsibility. Being a Jew is not enough. You have to be a Jew that lives by the law. And when you live by the law, you bring the knowledge of the Creator into the creation. God's PR people. So that's a very powerful role. And so, but we have free choice. And just like any race, or you have people that embrace the teachings, internalize them, try to live by them. I know I'm trying, I have my struggles. I'm an imperfect human being. But the beauty about the system that God created, He allows for repentance and then allows for vertical growth. And so a lot of Jews want to stay in Egypt. So ultimately, humanity has a choice. Do we want to live like slaves to human beings, or do we want to be free people that choose to serve the Creator? That's the question.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Just out of curiosity, this is just for me. Do you know Rabbi and Dr. Gerald Schroeder by chance?
Not only do I know him personally, and I read his books, but he had a major influence on my life.
I co-authored a paper with him years ago that was published on the internet, and I also got to know Roy Varghese, if you're aware of him. So I wondered, that's fantastic.
His book, Genesis and the Big Bang, because I was an atheist growing up, and I believed in the God of science, and I was really good. I was top of my university, really thought I knew everything. And I went in Jerusalem to one of his talks, and then all the questions I had, he just eviscerated me intellectually. And he showed me not only do I not understand true science, but it's the epitome of arrogance to talk about religion that I know nothing about. And that set me on that really broke me. It set me on a journey of self